tried, but I don't really understand it very well, so I decided to come to class to see if I could learn more.
What book did you get?
Self-realization.
Oh, that's a good one to start with, because there are a lot of different choices you have of what to read in that book, right? A lot of different things you could read, and I'm sure in a little time you'll be able to understand. And it helps, if you chant, it will help you understand.
Yes. Thank you.
That happened once. We were in Yosemite National Park. You know Yosemite? It's somewhere out west. And we were doing a Hare Krishna festival there, a little one. And every evening we would have a gathering. We'd invite the tourists and we'd invite all the employees, because there were 2,000 employees in the park. They were all young people, nice people. And so we'd have a big dinner for everybody, we'd chant, and it was very successful. And Yosemite is famous for the big rocks that it has, and there are rock climbers that like to climb the rocks because they want to become ants in their next life, so they're practicing. I don't know why else they would. I guess it's fun to risk your life like that. But anyway, there was one famous rock climber there who was coming to our programs, and he said that he tried reading the Bhagavad Gita. That's the scripture. He said couldn't understand a word. So we advised him to just keep chanting. Keep chanting. Chant on beads. Chant with us in the evening. And sure enough, a week later, he said, I took your advice, and then I opened up the Bhagavad Gita. Now I can understand it.
I guess I'll keep chanting.
It's amazing how purifying it is. It's really amazing. It's called Chaito Darpana Marjanam. It purifies the heart.
Okay.
So, speaking of chanting, does everyone have a copy? So you're going to be the lead singer because you have the microphone.
Oh.
Just the way it worked out.
Okay. That's all I sing, but.
No, we're going to sing a song in Bengali, but maybe next time you can be the lead singer. You practice this time.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have a harmonium player, but we have a harmonium pumper. That's second best. Whenever Ajamil isn't here, this is plan B that I have. I'm the one who sings the bhajans, and someone else pumps the harmonium. Does anyone know this bhajan? Anyone familiar with it? Okay. So this is how we're going to sing it. It's called a bhajan. Bhajan is a devotional song. That's what bhajan means, devotional song. Written by a very famous teacher, spiritual teacher in our line. His name is Narottam Das Thakur. So, Gauranga Karuna Koro, it means, be merciful, Lord Gauranga. So Lord Gauranga is another name of God, another name of Krishna, another manifestation of Krishna. So whenever you see the word Gauranga, you know who's being referred to. You're the Mridanga player, okay? So, sing double. Gauranga Karuna, ba 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 ba, Gauranga Karuna. And then it goes down again when we sing the next verse. Okay? Okay. What was your name again? I forgot. Priscilla. Okay, because you're the new kid on the block, you get the garland for tonight. So give Priscilla the garland. put it on her so she knows what to do. Okay. So if someone could take a picture of Priscilla smiling with her garland, I'm sure it will be an occasion to remember. Anyone has their cell phone? Are you ready? Okay, say Hare Krishna and make a big smile. Krishna! All right. Okay, then you can send it to her, okay? That's you, right? Whoops, didn't come out? Okay, make sure you get her email, okay, so you can send it to her. Okay, so I haven't sung this bhajan for quite some time. I'm sure I'll remember how to do it. So here's the translation. And this first line, very important. Oh, my dear Lord Gauranga, please show your mercy to this lowly and destitute soul. Oh Lord, there is no one more fallen than myself in all the three worlds. Incidentally, there might be some devotees from Argentina. Is this on the computer somewhere? It is. So, is it being televised? Oh, okay. So if anyone from Argentina is watching, mis saludos. Cocorunanda Prabhu está aquí también. Wave to everybody. Hitasha Krishna also. Where's the camera? Right over there? Okay. Haribol. Okay. So, the devotees from Argentina know this. If you know Gauranga Karuna Karo, you can sing along with us as well. Okay? Oh my dear Lord Gauranga, please show your mercy to this lowly and destitute soul. Oh Lord, there is no one more fallen than myself in all the three worlds. So I like this bhajan because it helps us reflect on the beauty of a humble attitude. Narottam Das Thakur is very humble, and he's presenting himself as very lowly. We were speaking the other day about this, how the more humble one gets, the more one thinks of himself as being very fallen. Krishna being great, and ourselves being very fallen. And sometimes a humble devotee will say, I have no hope for advancing. I'm too much of a rascal. At the same time, the devotee has a lot of faith in Krishna. And he knows that Krishna can do anything. So, on one hand, he has no hope. On the other hand, he has all hope, because he's taking shelter of Krishna. So it's like a dichotomy. So Narottam Das Thakur is saying that there's nobody more fallen than himself in all the three worlds. Three worlds refers to the different levels of planets in this material world. The hellish planets, the middle planets, that's where the earth is. Then the material heavenly planets, where everything is very nice. And then there's the spiritual world. So when he's referring to the three worlds, he's referring to, in this whole material world, there's no one. It's more of a rascal than myself. That's what he's thinking. So he's begging for mercy. Holding grass between my teeth, O Lord Gaur, I am calling out to you now. That's a way of expressing your humility. In India, if you want to approach somebody and show them that you're really feeling humble and you don't want to pick a fight, and if there's been some difficulty, you approach someone with straw between your teeth. I don't think they do that anymore. But that was the custom. Holding grass between my teeth, O Lord Gaur, I am calling out to you now. Please, be compassionate upon me and come to reside within the temple of my heart. Hridaya Mandir, right? Mandir, temple. Hridaya of the heart. If you do not give your mercy, seeing how fallen I am, then why are you known as Patita Pavana, the merciful Savior of the fallen? So that's a name, one name of God, Patita Pavana, the merciful Savior of the fallen. So I'm fallen. If you want to live up to your name, you have to save me, because that's what your name means. That's what he's saying. I am plunged amidst the violent hurricane-stricken waves in the ocean of this material world, from which there is no escape. Kindly give me the gift of your divine lotus feet, which are compared to a boat in which your servant may cross over the ocean of birth and death. So he's expressing that mood. He's saying that he's lost in this material world. He tries to be peaceful, he can't. Tries to be happy, just temporary. So many miseries inflicted by other people, the material nature, my own mind, my body. You can't find peace here. So he's calling it hurricane-stricken waves in the ocean of this material world. It's tumultuous, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Violent. So he's saying, kindly give me the gift of your divine lotus feet, which are compared to a boat in which your servant may cross over the ocean of birth and death. So he's understanding that the only way that he can conquer over all this misery is by taking shelter of God. Narottam Das, the servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, ceaselessly makes this prayer. So there's one thing I like about, many things I like about this bhajan. One thing in particular, and it doesn't have to do with the words. It doesn't have to do with, it has to do with that devotee on the bottom, offering dandavats. You see on the bottom the picture of the devotee offering, we call that dandavats, that you fall down like a rod. Danda, and you're on the bottom, offering dandavats, and you're humbling your picture, isn't it? Nice drawing. It helps. In addition to the words, it helps us get in the mood of the song. Okay. So. Okay, I'll sing the chorus with, not the chorus, I'll sing each line with you so to help you with the tune and so you know where to come in also. Who's playing kartals? Did you instruct Gokulananda how to pump the harmonium? Did you tell him how to pump the harmonium? Louder. Karuna karuna koro Dina hina jane. Together. Karuna karuna koro Dina hina jane. Karuna karuna koro Dina hina jane. Microphone. Samo patita prabhu Nai chuduvane Samo patita prabhu Osamo Bhatita Prabhu Naichi Bhuvane Louder Pita Prabhu Naichi Bhuvane Bam! Bam! Kolanga Karuna Kolo together Dina Ina Jani next line Mosamo Patita Prabhu Naichi Bhuvane Jante Chinadori Gora Yaki Tamara Louder! There we go. Jante Chinadori Gora Yaki Kupakari Eswarama Hridayamandire Just play that, don't do that. No. Upakaresarama Hridayamandire Clap your hands. Everybody go, everybody. Dina Hina Jani Mosamo Patita Prabhu Jati Dayana Koride Padita Dekiya Jati Dayana Koride Padita Dekiya Are there more sheets for people visiting? Patita Pavana Nama Kishalagiya Patita Pavana Nama Kishalagiya Patita Pavana Everybody Kola Karina Kola Kina Hina Jani Motamo Padita Prabhu Naichi Bhuvane Porichi Bhavatu Pane Naika Nishta if anybody has a question about anything, now would be a good time to ask it. I know a couple of questions. Yes? Microphone? Someone should be in charge of passing the microphone around. The reason the fan is on is because the paint needs to dry rapidly in time for Janmashtami, right? So we're tolerating the inconvenience so that the Lord's temple could look more and more beautiful. Yes?
Check. Okay. I do have a question that's never been able to be answered.
Eat the mic. Eat the mic.
Closer.
Yeah.
When I read Chaitanya Charitamrita, I don't know why.
This is called Stump the Swami. Particular part of the program. Stump the Swami. The first question is a question that no one has ever been able to answer.
No, you probably will answer this. I don't know why I'm hung up on it, but I'm looking for somewhere where Lord Chaitanya actually says the Maha Mantra in the Sanskrit, and it's a huge book. I've got the 1-volume edition. I can't find it, and people say that it's there, and it might be there in an esoteric way, but I'm looking for concrete evidence that he said it. I don't know why. I just want to see it.
Yeah. It's just assumed, just like if it said that Prabhupada chanted the Gayatri mantra, Hare Krishna, chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, or the Maha mantra. That's enough. So, it's not that because it's not written in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that perhaps we're like interpolating or speculating a little, and we're saying that he chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But actually there's no proof. There's so much proof in the Vedas. It's recommended for this day and age, and the Maha Mantra is written out.
Did he give it to us, or was the mantra there before he?
The mantra was there, just like, what is it, the Kali Santarana Upanishad. There's a verse, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashakam Nam Nam Kali Kalma Shanashanam Natak Parataro Prayas, in itself to counteract all the evil influences of the age of Kali. And Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate is said in all scriptures. So that's that verse. And Lord Chaitanya came to give that. In every town and village, my name will be sung, when my name will be heard. So, and Shiva Sangam, they're having nocturnal kirtans all night long, chanting the Maha Mantra. So that's explained, but it's not written out. Sometimes the devotees write it when they speak, just like when Radhanath Swami gives a class very often. He'll be telling a pastime, and then Lord Chaitanya assembled with his devotees and chanted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then it'll go on, and then 5 minutes later. Or else you can say, Lord Chaitanya assembled with the devotees and chanted Hare Krishna. So that's the answer for tonight.
Thanks.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks for What about chanting?
Speak
what about chanting Hari? I see that all over that Lord Chaitanya, always chanting the name Hari, Hari. Why don't we do that?
That's a name of Krishna.
Yeah.
It refers to Krishna who takes away two things. Takes away our material attachments, and he steals our heart also. Just like when we came to the movement, when we began to dedicate ourselves to Srila Prabhupada, we did so because Prabhupada stole our heart. Our heart belonged to Srila Prabhupada. It didn't belong to us anymore. So that's what Hari means. And when Lord Chaitanya first started chanting, he chanted Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha, Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan. That's during Kirtan. Why did he say that? Because if you read it, I think it's a Chaitanya Mangala or Chaitanya Bhagavat, Lord Chaitanya chanted that. So Prabhupada instructed us to chant it during Kirtan. So sometimes devotees, they almost chant that, right? Because devotees somehow it got translated as Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama, right? Hari Yadavaya Madhavaya. Then they chant the song by, who was it? Who wrote that song? Bhaktivinoda Thakur? But that's not what Prabhupada was referring to. That was a song that glorifies the different names of Krishna. But what Prabhupada wanted us to chant was that what Lord Chaitanya chanted. Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan. So Lord Chaitanya chanted other things as well. But Hari it's just like saying, oh Krishna. Yes.
Hare.
Okay. Ladies first, right?
What proof is there that God exists?
Say that again?
What proof is there that God exists?
What proof is there?
Yeah.
That God exists?
Yeah.
The proof, how do you know if something tastes good? You have to try it, right?
Right.
That's the proof. Then you're satisfied. So, that's the ultimate proof. The proof of the pudding is in the tasting. So, in order to actually experience that, in other words, a scientific experiment, there's the hypothesis, right? First they start out with a hypothesis. If you studied scientific experiments, like the hypothesis would be hydrogen and oxygen together produces water. In fact, 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen equal water. That's the hypothesis. So then, you do the experiment. You take 2 parts of hydrogen, 1 part of oxygen, put it together. There it is, water. So that's called the conclusion, the hypothesis, the procedure, I forget what it's called. Experiment. Then there's the conclusion. You see it. And because it can be empirically verified, that's proof. That's the proof. There it is, there's water. It's obvious that there's water. So, spiritual life is like that too. Like the hypothesis, you read about it all in the book, just like you have the book, The Science of Self-Realization. So you read about it. You chant Hare Krishna, this will happen, that will happen. Krishna will manifest himself to you. You'll become free from material desire. You'll develop your desire for serving God. Your heart will be cleansed of envy, greed, anger. So the only way to know that, the only way to know that Krishna is in his holy name, it sounds like it might be true, just like it sounds plausible that hydrogen and oxygen could equal water. So I'll try it. And the only way that I can really experience it is my senses and my consciousness is on that elevated platform where I can actually perceive on that level. Just like if your eyes aren't trained scientifically, there are so many things that a scientist will see in that microscope that you won't even see at all. If you go on a nature walk with somebody, they'll say, oh, look, there's the such and the such and thing. You don't, where? I don't see any. Because you're not trained to see it. So spiritual life means that we train our consciousness, we elevate our consciousness so that we can perceive on the spiritual platform. So you can't prove to somebody who's not on the spiritual platform that the spiritual platform exists, or that God exists, or that the soul exists. And we can't prove it to ourselves. We can have faith. We can have faith because it makes sense. Like you can have faith that hydrogen and oxygen equals water. But unless you actually go through the steps, then there's no possibility of actually being able to have that experience and prove it to yourself. So if someone says, prove to me that God exists, they have to have the eyes to see and the consciousness to see. God isn't cheap. He's not going to or just like you won't reveal yourself. Somebody's a big rascal. You won't reveal yourself to that person. You won't expose who you really are to that person. You won't reveal your mind and your heart to that person. So God also reserves that right. So he's not going to reveal himself to a foolish person or a rascal. But he will reveal himself to someone who's sincerely trying to advance in spiritual life. Even if he reveals himself a little bit, it's enough to convince one that he's there. That's why devotees are convinced, because they've gotten even if it's a little tiny taste of that divine presence of Krishna, it allows them to go further and further.
Why is there a difference in the teaching?
Well, just like Jesus is also, he's a Shaktivesh avatar, in other words, empowered by Krishna to teach. Now, what he taught, it wasn't really different from what Krishna teaches in the Bhagavad Gita, but it was different in the sense that it was so basic that it was just like the ABC. So that's the difference. So why didn't he just spill the beans, right? Why didn't he just tell it like it was, just like Prabhupada wrote the Bhagavad Gita as it is, right? So why didn't Lord Jesus tell it like it is? Because he couldn't. Just like if a child wants to know the answer to certain questions, you give the child that answer, but it'll be very basic understanding. You won't enter into all the complexities of an answer that would be more thorough and elaborate, because the child's not ready to understand that, not capable of understanding on a higher level. So, and we do that also when we communicate with people. We don't tell them everything. Just like if it's Lord Balaram's appearance day. Okay, so how do we explain to this person who's here for the first time about Lord Balaram? You'd explain to that person a little bit differently, right? Than you would talk about Lord Balaram with another devotee, right? I'll give you an example. We used to have we call it a dinner program in San Diego. Of course, we found that we'd invite people to the temple, and they would come in the evenings. People would come in the evening, so we thought, well, why don't we advertise that we're serving out dinner every evening? So we transformed the temple room. We put some tables and some lots of cushions out, and some low tables, some high ones. And it was like a Sunday feast every night. It's amazing. More and more people started coming. We were getting between 40 and 60 people a night. So, and we had a master of ceremonies. And someone who would, we'd like to welcome everybody. We have a very wonderful evening planned. First we'll be serving out a nice vegetarian meal. And after that, we'll be showing a nice educational movie about spiritual life, something about our movement perhaps. And then after that, we'll be doing some singing. We have some nice musicians here, and we'll be doing a meditation. So, and then after, as the dinner was winding up, the master of ceremonies would get up again. Okay, now we're getting ready. We're getting ready for the meditation. He'd take them through every step. So it was a very important responsibility the master of ceremonies had. And when he would welcome people, he would like break the ice a little bit and just make people feel at home. And so the master of ceremonies that usually took that responsibility, the devotee, he wasn't doing it. He had to go somewhere, and we had someone else that we needed to put in place of him. And so we didn't even have time to really train him up. So this is the temple room in San Diego. And the curtains were closed for the dinner, and everybody was facing that way. And Master of Ceremonies was facing that way because he was speaking to the people. And I was in the back looking at him because I was like overseeing everything. I was helping with the guest reception and meeting people out there. And so it was time for everybody was settled down, time for the dinner to start. And so Shivananda, the devotee, he got up and said, "We'd like to welcome everybody." And I was in the back checking out the whole thing. People weren't looking at me, they were looking at him. And I was looking at him. And he said, "Today's a very special day. It's Lord Balaram's appearance day. Lord Balaram is Krishna's brother." And I'm going, uh-oh. And he said, "That's right. Krishna has a brother. He's got a mother and a father. He's got girlfriends. Not just one, but he's got lots." And I'm going, oh my God. So I start going like this. And Shivananda, yeah, he kills demons and he chops off their heads. I swear to God. So I just walked out. So there's certain ways that you explain certain things to people so that they can understand. And if they can't understand, then you don't go there. So there are different levels of knowledge and understanding. And when Lord Buddha appeared, he spoke on the level that the people could understand. He needed to get them up to a certain level so they could at least be following religious principles before they could actually understand spiritual life. So he spoke about nonviolence, and he spoke among people just like Christ spoke among people who were ready to hear just certain things. And so, and we do the same thing when we speak to people. So that's why Lord Buddha spoke the way he did. And that's why he didn't deal with the concept of God, even, because of the people that he was speaking with. So that explains Lord Buddha, Lord Christ, Muhammad also. Doesn't mean what they taught was wrong, but there's so much more. That's how it's explained. Yes, brother.
Thank you, Maharaj. I had two questions. I first met the devotees in Peru when I was traveling there, and they were organizing a program. So I haven't been able to visit many temples down there, but I understand that in Argentina, you're there often, and I was wondering if you could just share how ISKCON and Krishna consciousness is in South America, and if there are opportunities for preaching or being involved with the movement there.
Sure, many, many, many. The reason I was attracted to Argentina is because I traveled around South America, and I like all the devotees. Actually, one reason was because there were 40 brahmacharis there, and they were doing book distribution. So much when I first got there. It was amazing atmosphere, and also they needed more help down there because one of the leaders had gotten sick. So that was I went because I was needed. I was impressed by the people because they were intelligent and soft-hearted at the same time. It's a nice combination. And the response it's overwhelming now. More people are coming than they can properly deal with, accommodate. Because we started a restaurant, and it's in the movie production area. It's on a commercial residential street, a very nice street, and all the movie production studios are pretty close by. And so you get producers coming, actors, musicians, all sorts of people who are very well placed in society. And that's completely separate from the temple. It's a separate building. It's in the complex. And then we have the temple and the ashram, and we have a boutique that has an entrance off the street, also a separate building. And there are always people who are coming by and inquisitive. And then we have the Sunday feast, and we're focusing on various groups of people, like the university kids and also the vegans. It's a big movement down there. And so we're trying to accommodate everybody in various ways. And there's just so much going on down there that we really feel blessed to be able to have that opportunity to preach. And there's always room for more, obviously. 13 million people in Argentina. In Buenos Aires, Greater Buenos Aires, it's the 10th largest city in the world. And there's the rest of Argentina. So the economy is not good, and the government is not. It's stable in the sense that people are just too much into sense gratification to organize to overthrow it, but it's corrupt. So economically, it's very austere, very difficult. It's like what you have for breakfast is like the Sunday feast down there. Gokulananda and Tasha Krishna can tell you all about it. So, yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. Do you also travel in other countries down there? Or do you know about any of the other...
Yeah. I go to Chile sometimes, and Uruguay, I go Paraguay, Brazil, and let's see, I go to Bolivia also. It's nice because, like a lot of people, you say Argentina, they go, where is that? Somewhere in South America, and then they say, Venezuela, did you say? No, Argentina. Okay. It's not a very well-known part of the world, but there's entire civilizations down there. Just like Bolivia, I'd never gone to Bolivia before, and I was really impressed by the people and just the beauty of the country, also. So it's a very rich and fertile field, like everywhere else, actually, in Krishna consciousness.
How would it compare to U.S. at present?
Well, the U.S. is more organized. There's more opulence in one sense. There's more money, more technology, more goods. As far as the opulence of soft-hearted people. There's less of that. When we had our book distributors up here to raise money for purchasing the temple down there, the devotees would always remark, the people here are más frío, colder. But they distributed books to all the Latinos. So we say that temple was purchased by the Mexicans. Mostly Mexicans. They're the ones who donated the money for that temple down there. Thousands of them all over the country. So there's a difference there. More pride in the U.S. Of course, if you go to a big city like Buenos Aires, there's not that much of a difference. And big cities are like that. People are a little harder, but you go to the countryside, it's a lot different. It's easier to get around up here, just because of the transportation system. So there are advantages and disadvantages in terms of the preaching. It's always like that, you know. Some countries, the government is very restrictive. And there's a lot of money, the government's very restrictive. Just like you go to a country in the Middle East, where the devotees are very restrictive. They can't have big temples. There's money, lots of money, but they can't do very much in that respect. You go to Argentina, the government loves us. We're fine. But there's no money. So it's like that everywhere you go. This country's too cold, that one's too hot. Or you go to San Diego, the weather's great. It's perfect. At the same time, that's where all the sense enjoyers go. So it might be a little harder, like Hawaii, it's a little harder to make devotees because everyone there's so much distraction there. So when we make a personal choice where we'd like to go to preach, if we start making all these material considerations, it's not the best thing. Prabhupada certainly didn't do that when he came to America. If we go where we think we could do the most service, and sometimes material considerations are important. If we can't be healthy, if it's too cold, etc., etc., etc. We have to make considerations, but I want to go to San Diego because I like to swim. It's a little borderline. You know what I mean? So it's. I've seen it in Krishna consciousness. The devotees who make the most advancement are the devotees that accept their responsibility, stick with it, no matter what happens. It's not that we can always do that, but we should at least try to do that. And not that we need to stay in one temple for our entire lives. Sometimes things change or we get inspired, there's a need for more help somewhere. There are so many different factors. But our decision should always be a mature one. And some of that is based on, I'm trying so hard to be a brahmachari, I'm suffering like anything sometimes. It's not easy for me, so at least I need, to have a little bit of material facility. I do have some material attachments. I would like to be in a certain type of environment, etc. But at least I'll stay a devotee. So there's so much to consider when we're, not that you're pondering these things, but these are things that are coming up in my mind, because all of us ponder these things sooner or later. We always come to a crossroads. Well, what should I do? Should I go this way or should I go that way? And it's so important for us to be able to make a decision that's good for both the society and ourselves at the same time. And the leaders are always trying to be careful. They're the needs of the temple, for example, and they're the personal needs of the devotees. So how to balance those two things so that the temple's needs are satisfied and the devotees' needs are satisfied as well.
Thank you, Maharaj. The other question, I was just wondering, as far as ISKCON, as an organization, which areas do you think could use the most improvement or help, or how could we continue to expand? In what particular fields should energy be or could be directed?
Yes. There's so much need everywhere because we're expanding. So much of a need everywhere on every level. Prabhupada, at one point he said, no more temples opened. No more temples. The devotees should be trained now. Should be trained better. Focus on that. Prabhupada called that boiling the milk. You probably heard that. And I heard one devotee say, just boil the milk, and the overflow when it boils, that's the preaching. In other words, you become so enlivened in spiritual life that you just naturally want to tell the world. So, we should never sacrifice taking care of each other, taking care of ourselves and taking care of each other. And from that basis, we'll be able to do everything else. And taking care of each other, it means so many things. So many things that, and some temples they have departments for devotee care. The devotee care department. They started one in Buenos Aires last year. They have so many goals because we have so many needs on the emotional level, intellectual level, spiritual level, social level, because it's... Thank you. I knew that. That's why I didn't say anything else. I knew it was just temporary. So, certainly that area should never be neglected, because that's the foundation. Devotees have to be happy in spiritual life. And of course, that doesn't negate the need for the devotees to be spiritually strong. So devotee care means that also, that we have to ensure that or encourage the devotees to have strict spiritual standards. And so many other things are needed as well. Just like in Buenos Aires, for example, there's some devotees that don't have enough food to eat because of their situation. So part of our program is devotees donating food for the other devotees. And that's part of the devotee care department. Getting the devotees married. That's devotee care as well. Counseling the brahmacharis, counseling the grihastas. That's devotee care. The health of the devotees as well. That's devotee care. So many levels, so many areas devotee care is so important as we're expanding. And then there's the children, and then there are the older people. I was going to say, what do you do with the older people? So you don't do something with them, in other words. But how do you help the older people maintain themselves? Whose responsibility is it? Is it the temple's responsibility, the congregation's responsibility? And how do we want to help them? Just like if you go to some of these churches or synagogues, they have the church or the synagogue, and then in back of it or on the side, they have all this housing that they built, right? And very often it's housing for the older people, like a retirement facility. So there's so much to think about, so much to do. And it's good, because all our propensities, all our dedication, everything, we can use. Everything that's being done in the society out there, we have to do for our own society. It's all important. Did you have something you'd like to say? You seemed like you're very enthusiastically participating, at least by listening. So that's nice. Okay? Yes, we will.
Thank you. Part of the solution for the elderly here is to put them in the brahmacharya.
That's great.
What constitutes, or what makes a good, strong brahmacharya?
What makes a good, strong brahmachari? A brahmachari is a monk who lives in the temple. And we also have brahmacharinis. Sometimes a lady, at least for some time, will live in the temple. So, monja, monje, et monja. And, well, the advantage of the brahmacharya ashram, living in the temple, is it's the only place you're assured of having a strict, regulated life, right? Living outside the temple, so you're sort of on your own a little bit. You know, and your mind can get the better of you. And we see this happening. The married devotees often have difficulty maintaining their rounds, their meditation, or reading, because they're involved in so many other activities. But here, living within the temple, there's no question of getting up or not. And you're doing service all day. You're associating with others who are doing the same things. It's a sanctified atmosphere. And it's the most wonderful thing. So if we just, like was Woody Allen said, 90% life is just showing up. So if you're just living here and following the program, then you're assured a certain amount of strength. Of course, there's always room for deviation, no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing. But taking good association, being able to hear from others if they have some advice, seeking out advice, these are all things that make us strong. Eating properly, not eating too much, not eating too little. Usually devotees don't have that problem, eating too little. Eating too much, improper association with the opposite sex. So we have to read every day, dedicate ourselves to some service. Participating in the expansion of the movement. And whenever a devotee would ask Prabhupada what they should do, whenever a brahmachari asked Prabhupada what they should do, what would he say? Distribute books. And in the good old days, even those who weren't full-time book distributors, they would always go out at least once a week. Maha Saturday. On Saturday, temple would just clear out. And there'd be one or two devotees back there just doing everything. Everything. It was called Maha Saturday. And they'd pack lunches for the devotees, have a nice breakfast, they'd pack lunch for the devotees, they'd all go out. And they come back in the evening to a big feast. Pizza, enchiladas, or lasagna, or something really good. So you felt great going out, you felt great coming back, and it was a wonderful atmosphere, surcharged. Every Saturday we would do that without fail. So accepting austerities, not artificially, but just trying to be as austere as we can, like we were saying, with our eating, with our sleeping, with our talking. And in the mood of caring for each other, having that humble service attitude, because when a lot of people are living together, just for survival, we need to have a humble service attitude, right? If we don't, then we'll always feel offended by somebody, right? And we'll always be in a bad mood because this person said this, and then that person said that, and this person's not doing as much as me, I'm doing so much more. If we develop an attitude and living in close proximity to other people like that, it's easier to develop attitudes than it is if you're living by yourself alone. Right? So you're not having any problem living with anyone right now, right? Because you're not living with anyone, so you're not having any problems at all, right? It's easy in that sense. There are advantages, at the same time there are disadvantages, because you want to be inspired also by, you want to have an intimate friend or something, right? So we have the opportunity to be very intimate living in the temple. Opportunity to be very intimate living in the temple. The material nature. We have to be generous with each other. Very important. Yes, Prabhu.
I was wondering if there's any way to discern an instruction or inspiration that comes from the heart or super soul versus the constant instructions and things coming from the mind. And it's my understanding that being on the Neophyte platform, most of these ideas or thoughts that I'm having are coming from the mental platform, but is there any way to discern which ones are coming from a higher source?
Yeah, it's said in the beginning of spiritual life that your mind is your worst enemy, so we have to be very careful about the mind. Mind is just screaming for sense gratification. That's why we have Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We have the spiritual master or the senior devotees. They're the sadhus, the Guru, spiritual master. Sadhu, they're the senior devotees. And the Shastra are the books. So if we want to do, if what we're thinking can be supported by those three things, then we know it's correct. Now sometimes, for example, you might say, well, I don't want to go out and distribute books today. I'd rather stay back and learn how to cook rasgullas, because there's a need for, nobody knows how to make rasgullas here. And we want to please the deities. There's a need for someone to learn how to make good rasgullas, the kind that squeak when you bite into them. The fact that no one's learning how to do that here means that, and the fact that I want to learn how to do it, I'm obviously the only one that can do that. So anybody can go out and distribute books, and so many devotees are doing that. So you're not going to be able to look up in the Bhagavad Gita whether you should go out on book distribution or make rasgullas. If you look up in the index or if you Google it, you won't find an answer there. You could call up your spiritual master. Best to speak to the temple president, a sadhu, or somebody in a position like that, and they can tell you what the priority. They can help you unwind your mind. So that's how you can tell. Otherwise, we can't tell. We won't know how to make decisions properly. And Prabhupada explains in a purport, I think, where Maharaj Parikar was going to fast for those 7 days. He was saying, whatever decision we make, no matter how small, something like that, we should always get the blessings of our authorities, or something like that. I'll try to find it. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. Because it's a very nice quote. And Prabhupada didn't mean, well, should I make a left turn or a right turn? Let me call up my temple president. Do you know what I mean? We have to be able to understand these distinctions. Let's see, where is my, I don't know where it is. Study. Let's see. And it's going to be hard to find it right off the bat. Oh, wait a second. Here it is. First reference. I hope. No. No, that's the wrong one. Prabhu, maybe you can remind. Unless you just have a few minutes, I'll really try to find it. It's a very nice quote. Maybe you remember reading it also. Jai Shri Shri Kishore Kishore. I won't be able to find it right now. It's one thing to have a lot of great quotes, but if you can't find them, because I know very much, I'll be up until I find it tonight. Okay, so I hope that helped. So we leave at 4:30 tomorrow? Between 4:30 and... Okay, so we leave at 4:45. We'll load up at 4:30. Wait a second. Yeah, I just don't like to rush. When I get to the airport, I don't like to be in a hurry. I'd rather leave 15 minutes early and relax, do you know what I mean? Because, just getting it down to the wire. Yeah, let's leave at 2 o'clock. That way I can... let's start packing at 4:30. That'll be good. Speaking of packing, I need some help tonight, too. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. So for the devotees in Argentina, if anyone's listening, it's time to take rest now. It's pretty late there, right? Okay. Haribol. Thanks for watching. Look what I did to this. It had to be polished. Prabhu?